And here, from outer space, on behalf of our co-authors, it gives the Maskine Amager and MMA Film great pleasure to present to you our project from Copenhagen in Denmark, Recovery on Behalf of the Civil Society. Hi, my name is Søren, and besides being the so-called schizophrenic, diabetic, and formerly drug-abusing chair of our board of directors, I am also the father of three and a scholar of Nordic literature, and I'm also a prize-winning dramaticist. So it's been a strange life, but now we're here. Welcome to the Maskine Amager, and let's climb up. Now, the most important thing you should all know about our machine is that we are the so-called severely mentally ill machinists' own place, operating on behalf of the civil society. We think we are the only truly user-governed and user-run place of our kind and capacity in Scandinavia. And that's the reason we can maintain our own set of values, our own agenda and style. And that's the reason why our place can have the atmosphere it has and look like it does, as you will experience it in a moment. And that's also the reason we can attract people who will not participate in the public services or elsewhere. So the capital region of Denmark has most generously lent us these approximately 600 square meters for free, right here on the main street in Copenhagen South. So up to 35 so-called severely mentally ill people come here every weekday to run our place and form our helping community of mutuality while doing all kinds of creative and practical, meaningful activities. A circle of 200 to 250 people know us and come less than once a week. And basically we are volunteers, but we have secured $500,000. So for another year or so we can have a few artisans employed part-time up here. And we like this. They are a great resource. They can do stuff we can't, and usually the staff are responsible for the patients, but here the patients employ and are responsible for the staff. So it's the other way around. But let's look inside, and it's a bit messy, but hey, most of us can't even clean our own apartments. So despite everything, we do pretty well up here. Here you see our gallery, where we also put the MMA stage. There's a new exhibition and a new MMA talk every second month. Kim is playing. Here's our graphic print shop that's most popular. And down there in the bottom there's still an unused room, but in here we have plants and music. And there is some leftover food that people can bring home. And there's our improvised kitchen. We get leftover food from a supermarket every day, and then we make and serve lunch for us. Here is the office of our research unit, where we will try to involve the researchers instead of the other way around. In here we try to build a closed conversation and podcast room, hopefully soundproof. And here's a reminder that it doesn't matter what you call us. We can all do something, and most of us are extremely creative. And this is the room of the IT people. We have some very competent people up here to maintain it. This is what we've done so far this year. And over here on the other side, we have our book pharmacy, where you can get a book instead of a pill. All tastes are represented, and we also hold meetings here. There hangs Nikolai Brie's Sleepless, one of his weapon shields, 2 by 2 meters, and there hangs some of our jewelry production. Here's the hangout room where the coffee machine usually stands. There's one of the toilets. And over here is the workshop for textile and jewelry primarily. Many materials are donated or scavenged. We just find it and then we use it. And over there on the other side, there's a workshop and events board. Over there on the other side, there is the workshop for painting and drawing, graphic design, stuff like that. In here we keep works of art. We also have a publishing house, a film group making movies like this one, a historic academic society studying recovery and peer work in an international perspective. We have a propaganda machine and a newsletter. We also have a biking and a walking group. And right down here we have our workshop for more heavy and noisy work, wood and metal. We build everything ourselves. We go out and teach and give lectures. And in here, if you feel bad, we have a chill room and some weight blankets. We also have an outreach unit who clean machinists' apartments and accompany people here or go with them to meetings with the system or visit them in the hospital. And down there we have a room for exchanging things, some toilets, a locked room for GDPR information, and an old industrial kitchen which we will try to make operational. And here's the order of the house, the writing on the wall. There is basically only one rule: give more than you take and you will receive more than you give. And finally, this is our virtual reality laboratory, since the mental health services now also use VR in the treatment of patients. Of course, we the patients are also at that front, and our green room is also a transportation chamber, so let's go to Vilnius anyway. We have never been there before, but the city and the people are supposed to be great. So let's go there and give this presentation and take some pictures. Recovery on behalf of the civil society. So here we are, the Republic of Vilnius' psychiatric hospital. We came here anyway. Thank you for inviting us. The weather is beautiful. But now here it is. Our project, it rests on these 4 premises. Every year, more and more people come to experience also so-called severe mental illness. We are the already so-called severely mentally ill patients, and we consider this to be a catastrophe. It's a battle we need to fight, and we need to win it, because otherwise I fear we will all lose. So. Therefore, our machine would like to throw its combined more than 1,000 years of experience of being patients into this battle and fight with you guys. Stand together, and if we want to win, we need to do something that works. And the public mental health services, they say they lack staff and resources. I know for sure that they lack staff. I don't know much about general resources. But I know that it also sometimes it's a question about how you spend the resources that you have. We consider ourselves to be our resource. The public mental health services, they suffer from systemic and scholarly obstructions that makes them ineffective. This is the 3rd premise. It makes it difficult for them really to put the patient and the patient's recovery in the center of their intervention, as they are politically obliged to, at least in this country. So the most basic obstruction, I would say, both systemic and scholarly, is that the field of mental health separates itself from the mental health of its patients. This is why the individual staff member is split in his or her own human part and a functional part that has to do with the system cells, and the 2 parts are fundamentally different. That is why the individual staff member is separated also from the humanistic core of his or her own profession, and why she or he is robbed of the only functioning way to heal their patients, namely by obtaining a personal relation to them, sometimes even perhaps private, and a personal and a private commitment and engagement. And that is also why the patient, who usually feels alone and isolated enough already, is met by a cold, clinical, impersonal whiteness that somehow soaks out through both walls and people. I think it keeps the up and them dichotomy and the dividedness and isolation of both patients and staff alike. I think that keeps that alive. So. And then also there's a 4th premise, that many of the people who come here at our machine, besides so-called severe mental illness, they also usually have other problems such as substance abuse and criminal sentences and homelessness and somatic illnesses that many times have not been discovered yet. And although not hospitalized, some people can come here who are, what will you say,
very apathic or very psychotic, you would call it, and suicidal or sometimes hugely offensive and perhaps even violent. We haven't experienced that yet. But every time it happens, it takes its toll on the community and the good atmosphere we live by up here. And then other participants leave, so we need to have solved this issue also.
So based on these four premises, our idea and project is that we, the so-called severely mentally ill people up here in the Meskine Amager, we would try to take our part of the responsibility if we were given the opportunity of employing two persons, each with their own professional backgrounds in the field of hardcore mental health service. This would be our contribution to the development of weapons needed in order to fight and win this battle we all are in. So please listen what we would like to do. We thought of hiring two persons with professional backgrounds within the mental health services. And we would stress that they had experience with people like us, and that they too wanted to somehow transcend what they are. Now we think that one of them should be a person with a professional background in mental health nursing, and the other should have a professional background in mental health occupational therapy. The one with the nursing background should be around those people who has it wildest, and the person should assist us in meetings with the regional and the municipal public services. You know, go with us to the meetings and speak our cause, and perhaps they should sometimes even talk to family members on our behalf. And if one of us went to the hospital and they could perhaps go in there, speak to the doctors and the nurses before, so there's a kind of bridge, so the hospitalization doesn't ruin the recovery of these people. And the person with a background in the occupational therapy, we thought, should try to help us implement a work audit day in the machine, like the ones they sometimes have at fountain houses, you know, where the work decides the day, and then involve people more than we are able to right now. Motivate people, facilitate activities, and help us to bring our responsibility into them, and participate. And both of them, of course, should wholeheartedly take part in the machine, and in us, and the Meskine then it would be their place too, and we would be their friends. And both of them should help us to keep the Meskine more open, more stable, more secure, while expanding our activities, you know, in order to reach and help more people. Also, both of them should de-escalate and educate us about different conditions, what they think about different conditions, and then about also the public mental health system, because many patients, they don't really know about it, even though they're patients. Both of them should participate in evaluation and research on the project, and both of them should represent us in front of their peers, nurses and occupational therapists. Both of them should take in trainees of their particular professions in order to teach us perhaps this kind of peer-driven recovery, user-led intervention into the next generations of professionals.
And a driver's license would be great. None of them could have any responsibility for our treatment or administer medicine or even write in the patient file. But the whole point is that both of them would have to
cultivate such personal and perhaps even private relations to us, so that we could delegate them to be our relatives or next of kin. In that way they could make our patient rights and our voices count for something. And this is the whole point and why this intervention would work and make a concrete practical difference for many people. Up here the professionals would get a chance to liberate themselves and the humanistic core of their disciplines from the systemic and scholarly obstructions of the public mental health system. And up here they would serve and help the target audience directly, that means us. They would get to know us in our daily life,
And by doing so, they could perhaps heal the split between their human and the functional parts and be more fully themselves in their activity and in themselves as whole humans. And perhaps they too would benefit from it professionally and personally. It's not a good thing to be divided. And up here we could teach them something, I think, and they could teach us about the humanistic core of their professions, the agave and the caritas. Yeah? So we ourselves could be more tolerant and better at helping others like ourselves. And the patient themselves are in charge. And here the suffering person could actually be the center of the intervention, because the intervention is owned by the patients themselves. What if that's why it's so difficult for the public service to put the patient in the center? Also up here, they would be pioneers in breaking down this barrier that still exists between them and us. We would find some kind of middle way or a solution. And up here they would have a much greater impact, I think, as far as healing goes. As they would be able to help more people than they otherwise could. So this is our idea, and it's our own. It has grown out from within us, and we own this project. In order to fully develop it, we have asked some internationally renowned experts in mental health care to participate in an action research group. So here they are in one of our Zoom meetings. We had 6 or 7 so far. And they must be the nicest and most gentle of all action researchers and co-authors, we would think. Because they leave our idea alone. They do not tamper with it or take it for themselves. They're only interested in helping us develop it, and then they graciously assist us with their immense competences, and they do it for free. So, thank you so much, Action Research Group. And if I may introduce you, in the bottom to the right, you see us, the machine. Numbers and names of machinists differ from time to time. To our left, we have Professor Bengt Carlson, who is the leader of the Center for Mental Health and Substance Abuse at the University of Southeastern Norway. And to Bengt's left, we have Dr. Nina Kilku from Finland, who is the president of Horatio, the European Organization for Mental Health Nurses. And above Nina, to the right, we have Lina Bering, who is associate professor at the Southern University of Denmark and leader of the Competence Center for Relations and De-escalations in the Zealand region of Denmark. And to Lena's right, we have honorary Professor Jan Kåre Hummelvold from Norway, who 40 years ago wrote a fantastic book about humanistic mental health nursing, and we up here are fans. And to the left of Lene, we have the 6th and final member of our group, Anne Hertz, who was not present at this particular Zoom meeting, but Anne is CEO of the Labor Union for Occupational Therapists in Denmark, occupational therapy which actually sprang from the mental health service some 80 years ago. And it's all about meaningful activities and how you as patient become able to manage your life without them. How they works. And Anna will make them even better, and they just got a new specialized education as well. So this is the project, and this would be, I think, truly what they call a relational recovery on a humanistic base. Most likely it has never been done before either. So unfortunately, nothing can really be done without resources for even though how well you spend them. So for a 3-year period, we need 2 full-time professionals. We need 1 part-time project lead or something to coordinate and have staff responsibility and stuff like that. Then we need a post for inviting researchers to join in to measure the effect of this. Of materials, transportations, participation in conferences and stuff. And we would really like a minibus, plus fuel, plus insurance for 3 years again, because then we go and pick people up and we can also go somewhere ourselves. It would at least be easier. And then we need a post for administrative aid and bookkeeping and paying the salaries and the taxes and so on. I cannot even manage my own money, so we need a professional to do that stuff. And then we need a post for unforeseen expenses. Paranoid people know it's always good to prepare. And that roughly amounts to 800,000 or even €1 million for 3 years. And but those who invest this money would not only help us bring many more people up here and help them in a concrete and practical way. They would also invest in an invention or intervention that could perhaps have effect on the future, when more and more people every year become also severely mentally ill. And that was that. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for listening to us. It means a lot. It's been a hard day, so let's retreat to outer space. And if any of you would like to get in contact with this project, or if you would like to sponsor it, then here's my email address. You just write dixen@mmamager.dk. Thanks. Thank you.